Breaking news in the NBA, Michael Porter Jr. just became uber rich, signing a 5-year max extension with the Nuggets, reportedly worth up to $207 million. This after a career season, averaged 19.7 rebounds a game for the Nuggets, who were swept in the second round of the playoffs by the Phoenix Suns. And look at how much more money he's going to make per year than Jamal Murray and Mr. MVP, Nikola Jokic. Both those guys have signed max extensions as well, and they also signed Aaron Gordon to a big contract. Let's bring in Bill Reiter, who proves that it doesn't always pay to graduate. Bill went to Missouri, just like Michael Porter Jr. One of them graduated, one of them has several houses. Bill, in his, I believe, one and only house. Bill, my question is, why? Okay, I know the potential is there, but he's started 62 total games in his career to this point. Why did they have to pay him this much money?
Because the feeling within, I can tell you, that organization and really around the NBA is that he is going to be a top 15 player in this league for a long time, an absolute superstar. You're right, there's a little bit of risk involved, has only played 2 years, had that back injury coming out of the University of Missouri. I can tell you this city in my home that I rent, by the way, not that I own. Michael Porter Jr. really emerged last year as a guy that was the player we all thought he was going to be before that injury. Would have been the first or second pick in that draft. Was the top recruit in that class when he went to the University of Missouri. Averaged 19-7 last year. Scored, I think, 17.5 points per game. And shot 40% from the three-point line in the postseason. So that Nuggets organization, a place that you're not going to recruit superstars to, believes by locking him in now, they've got 3 players with the reigning MVP in Nikola Jokic, with Jamal Murray, and now with Michael Porter Jr., 3 stars they can build around and compete with for a really long time.
Making over $41 million per year, reportedly. Is he more important, though, than Jokic, the MVP, and Jamal Murray to this team?
No, I think he's probably the third most important player on that team, and it just speaks to the idea that sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, or in Michael Porter Jr.'s case, a little bit of both. And by the way, we're going to see more of this going forward. There's reports out there that in the next NBA deal, they're going to get maybe 3 times for their broadcasting rights what they got last time. So for whatever guys, their contracts are up when that happens, you could see guys making $80 million that are not nearly as good as players that'll still be under contract for 40 or 50. So no, he's not the most important player on the team. He's probably, at least for me, not the second most important player on the team, but he timed it really well, and he is going to be part of that triumvirate, that big 3 in Denver, if things go according to plan.
We saw a big jump last season, was able to stay healthy, and the numbers showed it. Career highs in points and rebounds. What kind of a jump does the team expect him to make over the next year or 2?
Yeah, I had heard even before this contract, Chris, and obviously the contract speaks to the fact this is true, that they thought it was going to be a massive jump over the next few years. And what scouts and GMs will tell you is that for every LeBron James that's a star, a guy that is incredible from day one, there are 3 or 4 superstars who took 3 or 4 years to be really extraordinary. That applies to Steph Curry, that applies to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Denver thinks that it really could, maybe in the same way, apply to Michael Porter Jr. They believe he can be a 25-10 guy and one of the best shooters in the NBA this upcoming season. He can get to that point and then keep that consistency, that excellence for 5 or 10 years.
So Michael Porter Jr. is going to sign a mega extension, and there's a bunch more guys in that draft, which incredible draft class, that have also done the same. Trae Young, 5 years, 207. That's basically the same thing that Michael Porter Jr. is going to be signing. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 5 years, 172. You had Luka Doncic in that draft. I mean, looking back at it right now, I mean, that's looking like one of the best drafts in NBA history at this point, Bill.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you said it. I mean, you just mentioned several names. I know it's early in careers, Chris, but if things go according to plan, if these guys are healthy, Luka Doncic is going to be a Hall of Famer. Trae Young can be a Hall of Famer. Michael Porter Jr., and health is really the issue with him, can be a Hall of Famer. It's that level of talent. And let's give Denver credit. They drafted him at 14. MPJ fell all the way to where they were, and team after team, GM after GM, guys and organizations that didn't draft some of those names you just gave us, past a Michael Porter Jr. because of the risk, because of that back. Very similar to what happened with Joel Embiid in that Philly draft many, many years ago when he fell all the way to number 3. So this is a great day for Michael Porter Jr. I think it's also a reward to that Denver organization that had the boldness to go out there and pick a talent when there was a lot of risk involved at the time and what he was going to be health-wise.
NBA Media Days all over, and the big news of the day, Michael Porter Jr. agreeing to a big-time extension with the Denver Nuggets. Thank you so much, Bill Reiter, joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. Training camp beginning tomorrow. The regular season just a handful of weeks away. Who the Nuggets open up with? October the 20th at Phoenix. That's going to be a great matchup to start things. Nuggets have to feel extremely good about their core, not just going into this season, but the next several seasons, locking up Porter, Jamal Murray, and the reigning MVP Nikola Jokic to long-term deals.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.